All right, everyone. Now, this week is the 25th anniversary or birthday of Living Single, the show about, well, primarily a group of four female friends, and then, of course, Overton and Kyle, and just taking us through a trip in a 90s kind of world. And I actually got the first couple of seasons on DVD. I know for the longest time, same with the Jamie Foxx show, Walmart and other venues only had the first season of Living Single, but then they finally put the rest of these seasons out. I remember on Amazon when they had the second season, and I remember going to Target, Best Buy, Walmart, all around Lynchburg. I drove around for like 2 hours trying to find a physical copy. I mean, I know I could have ordered it on Amazon Prime, but for me, this was a big moment. I'm like, oh, you know what? 2-day shipping is great, but I want this now. And none of the places carried it, so I did have to order it online. But in any case, yeah, they finally have all 5 seasons on DVD. I actually stopped at the second season because I'm like, well, a lot of these shows like Sister Sister, The Parkers, Family Matters, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, you know, a little while after all the seasons come out on DVD, they eventually do like a box set where they have all the seasons in one. I'm probably going to wait for that to come out before I buy the last 3 seasons. Unless during Black Friday, you know, Amazon has a huge markdown, then I'll get the last 3. But in any case, Living Single was definitely one of my favorite shows growing up. I mean, I was a kid. I was born in 91, but I enjoyed watching the episodes. My mom, my sister, you know, and other family members whenever, you know, I was at one of their houses and it just so happened a Living Single episode or marathon was going down. I mean, yeah, it was a great show. I think these people were like a few years out of college, you know, what, maybe in their later 20s or something like that. But in any case, I just love the cast of characters, the different personalities. It was kind of funny because remember I was a kid born in 91, so I always compared Regine and her mini wigs to Astronema from Power Rangers in Space just because you didn't know what kind of hairstyle she was going to have in the episode. But this video, you know, aside from just taking a trip down memory lane, is just the fact that there are a lot of talks, and I think this was in motion months ago, and I remember doing like live streams and a couple videos about like Martin and whatnot, talking about, are reboots actually a good reboots or slash sequel series really a good thing? I mean, to be honest, I feel like Living Single and Martin and whatnot, those are like some of my favorite black African-American shows. I'm just going to say black television growing up. And don't get me wrong, there's even more shows from either when I was just born or even before, like 227, The Jeffersons, Sanford and Son. I have the first season of 227 on DVD. I found that cheap. I got the first 2 seasons of The Jeffersons, then the entire series of Sanford and Son. But those shows really, what made them great, aside from being, you know, for the most part, main characters who were black, it's just like those shows captured the era, the era they were created in, like Living Single, the 90s. Martin, you know, he was a radio show host and whatnot, and it just, what really made those shows stand out was like the personalities were very diverse amongst the cast, like different skin tones that were black, but at the same time they had personalities that differed from each other. Like the chemistry between the characters are great. I'm not saying that a Living Single reboot couldn't work. I just don't feel like it's a necessity. I mean, don't get me wrong. I would probably watch the first few episodes just to, you know, see where it's going, if I'd laugh and whatnot, which I probably would. But I don't know how they would do. I mean, the theme was Living Single. How would that work now? Because what, in the actual series, Overton and Sinclair got married. It was hinted that Kyle and Maxine or Max were going to get married. Those 2 characters actually made a cameo on another show that was a spin-off of Living Single. I cannot think of the name. I just know they were on a plane together and with the main characters of that other show. And they were saying like they have a daughter and they were going to get married eventually because they were like engaged. So I mean, all these characters who have kids. I guess the biggest question would be, would let's see, Regine, she left the show to be with somebody. I mean, her character left to be with some rich dude. And so Sinclair and Overton, Maxine and Kyle. And I think the very end scene of the series was when Khadijah left with Scooter. I mean, I love Black Lightning, but I'm always going to look at his actor as Scooter from Living Single. Like, don't get me wrong, Black Lightning is my favorite CW show at the moment. I hope season 2 does as well, if not better than season 1. But at the same time, I will always think of him not as Jefferson Pierce, but as Scooter from Living Single. I mean, the big question is, did those two get together? I mean, maybe. I don't think a reboot is necessary. I wouldn't be against like an hour special or something like that. I think the Brady Bunch used to do this stuff, like the Brady Christmas and whatnot, where the kids and all were adults and they got together. I mean, I wouldn't be against like an epilogue special where they do like a maybe 1 or 2 or 3 episodes with the characters trying to catch up on what happened to them and stuff like that after the final episode. I wouldn't be against that. I mean, I do believe on TV. Oh, I need to check my cable package with Xfinity, because I got OWN, but I forgot to ask or even check if I have TV One. If so, I'm going to watch the marathon live. Apparently on the 24th, they're going to play, starting on the 24th, they're going to have a marathon with all the episodes and then interviews with the cast and whatnot. And I do have Hulu as well, which I do know that all Living Single episodes are on there. Even so, I'm a sucker for the physical copy, so I'll definitely buy the DVDs. But I don't know if a reboot is really necessary. I'm trying to figure it out how to say this. I mean, I guess if Living Single had a reboot or a sequel series, how would that work? Would they recast the characters? Because to be honest, I don't know how it would work. I really don't. I mean, Flavor Magazine, would it just be something that transitioned from like a magazine to like digital or YouTube or social media and stuff like that? I mean, it would obviously tackle a lot of the issues about being black in America and stuff like that. But at the same time, I don't know. I feel like I don't want to ramble here because I'm really trying to get the words out. I don't know if they could recapture the magic of Living Single being in the 90s kind of world. I don't really want to see a 2018 or 2010 kind of world. I guess that's what my generation is really about, and they market to the nostalgia factor, because we really want to be reminded of what we had growing up as opposed to the reality of the crappy world that we live in today. Don't get me wrong, it wasn't that good back in the 90s and early 2000s, but damn, I gotta admit, it was kind of, a lot of ways probably worse today than it was back then. But we're just more aware of that stuff now due to social media and everybody having a freaking camera in their pocket. But with that being said, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Do you really think a reboot is necessary, or are you like me where the original series was good enough? I don't really feel like we need a sequel. Like the fact that we all have the access to the actual show in its entirety, either on physical copy with DVD or on Hulu, which I really wish it was on Netflix instead, I'm perfectly fine with it. I would love to see like all the cast together in like like an hour-long special, just like interviewing the cast, and or like maybe like a 90-minute special or something like that, where we just see the characters older, 25 years later. Well, technically not 25, because 25 years ago was when the first episode aired. But let me just say maybe 20 or so years later down the line. I think that this actually briefly happened on, what was it, like, not Nick. Do they still call it Nick at Night? Where they have like, the sitcoms and whatnot at night after the cartoons and all played all day. Because I do know A Different World used to play on that. And they actually had like a special where you had Dwayne Whitley and all the other characters in like commercial segments, like during the commercial breaks, there would be brief interviews with the characters from the show, and they were in character talking about what happened after they left the college. That was good. They didn't need to reboot the series. They didn't need to bring it back. And I believe A Different World is still on Netflix. And I love going back from time to time to watch a few of those episodes. So with Living Single, guys, I personally don't think a reboot should happen. I'm not saying that they couldn't recapture the magic, but I feel like some things are better left the way they are. I wouldn't be against the cast or maybe the writers of Living Single working on a new black sitcom in 2018, you know, talking about the world we live in today. I wouldn't be against that. Kind of like with the flavor, no pun intended, of Living Single, but with a different kind of, you know, setting and whatnot. I wouldn't be against that. Especially give the kids growing up today their version of Living Single, you know, so that way 25 years later, somebody from, you know, the next generation could be doing a video or a blog or whatever talking about, hey, it was awesome seeing a group of black people in a positive light trying to be successful in the working world, one with a magazine, one with a lawyer, one being a lawyer, one pursuing acting and stuff, and what was Kyle, like a stockbroker, that kind of stuff. That's awesome. Have that today. So what do you think about that? Number one, Living Single, happy 25 years. It's been great. I mean, the show still stands well. It holds up well, in my opinion. Let me know your thoughts. Do you think a reboot is necessary? Do you want a reboot to happen? Let me know in the comment section below.